So, the Destiny 2 beta is finally over, or at least it is for consoles. And even though that this video is very late in uploading it, and this is really late for me to do this type of video, I still feel like I can give you guys some insight on the upcoming Destiny 2 game by sharing some of my impressions, my opinions, and how I feel about the overall experience. Hey, what's Gucci everybody? It's the Virtual Panda. Let's talk about the Destiny 2 beta. Now, to make this easy on you guys, I'm going to break it down into some pieces or some digestible points for you guys. That way you can understand clearly what I'm talking about and how I feel about the beta, how it was played overall, and we're going to discuss, each thing that was in the beta and break it down into small pieces and get into depth about it. Then I'm going to talk about some improvements that I think need to come into Destiny 2, or at least what I'm hoping will happen by the time it's Destiny 2, and then what I hope for as far as the future goes for the remaining of the Destiny 2 game. So, let's get started. So when you launch the beta, the very first thing you are greeted to is picking a character between obviously the Hunter, Warlock, and Hunters. There are no new classes at the moment as far as we're concerned. Hopefully, I'm just saying, Bungie, if you're watching this, you're probably not. Can we get a healer class, or at least literally just a specific healer class? That would be nice, just saying. Either way, as soon as you pick your character, you are immediately put into a cutscene, and that's the very first thing I want to talk about as far as the Destiny 2 beta went. Cutscenes look amazing. They did a phenomenal job. I'm super excited that they brought cutscenes back. Obviously, they were going to bring cutscenes back, but I think they did it right this time, especially because Destiny 1 was not very known for its story, and that's kind of what cutscenes are there for. Cutscenes, they allow us to connect, they give us emotion, they give us story, information that we need to know, and that was probably one of the biggest things that was lacking in Destiny 1. We even defeated Atheon and there was no cutscenes afterwards, and that was kind of disappointing. However, one key thing that happened in Destiny 1 that was very important was the Taken King expansion, because that was when Bungie got everything right, and all the Destiny fans, including myself, were just like, yes, you did it, thank you. So, I think with that information that Bungie knows of, hopefully they continue with that trend for the entire Destiny 2 game and for the entire franchise of Destiny and the expansions, everything. I hope that they continue with the cutscenes. The cutscenes were awesome, and it makes me really sad that my poor character got his butt beat by a space turtle with ugly red veins. So yeah. So the next thing that we were able to do as soon as the cutscene ended was we were dropped right into the very first story mission, Homecoming. And you know what, guys? With the combine of the cutscenes and the gameplay itself, I have to say, Bungie, they did a really, really good job of selling that we have to get our powers back, because we got messed up really bad. And fighting all those turtles and still getting my butt beat at the very end was really depressing. To see that our traveler was, being stolen of its light from some turtles was really upsetting, and, it really makes me want to play the rest of the game. As far as the gameplay went for the story, it was really good. I honestly have no complaints. I think supers in the, PvE portion or even the story portion could be a tad faster in my opinion, especially if you're picking up Orbs of Light. I think it should be regenerating fast. Hopefully there's some type of stat system or even some armors that allows us to, once we have it on, once we pick up an Orb of Light, our supers generate faster. But either way, as far as gameplay goes for the story, it was really good. With the combine of the gameplay itself and the cutscenes, it was really good. One more quick thing that I also wanted to point out with the gameplay is it gave us a good chance to really see what the Red Legion Cabal was all about. We got a chance to see each enemy type, and who knows, maybe there'll be more enemy types as we progress through the game, but I'm pretty sure we got to see the majority of the Red Legion Cabal, and these guys are not playing around. We most definitely get to see each enemy type. It's really good to see some old types get revamped, and even their abilities and their actions changed up a bit. The AI for enemies, they seem relatively good, so I have no complaints there as well. So Bungie, good job on the campaign. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. So, we just talked about basically the campaign, or at least the very first story mission that we were introduced to as soon as we start up the game. As soon as you complete that story mission, you have a variety of things that you can do, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to just jump right into the Inverted Strike that we could all play to at least in a fire team of 3, and you know what? My opinions about it, meh. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't game-changing either. It wasn't something that wowed me. It wasn't really anything spectacular, and I'm not saying, oh, you know, the strikes are going to be lame. Honestly, I feel like they gave us that strike for a specific reason, and I feel like they gave us that strike primarily just so we can get our feet wet and kind of what we can expect. So, getting into the strike, we jump in. We're into a brand new planet, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I love that reference that our ghost makes. Space Milk was hilarious. Another thing that was really important that we got to see was the different enemies, and or at least the different species that we usually fight in Destiny 1. We got to see the Cabal or the Red Legion, which was obvious and given, but then we got a chance to see the Vex and the Fallen. Now, granted, we didn't get to see the Hive, but honestly, let's face it, in Taken King, we kind of beat their butts, so not really surprised that we didn't see the Hive there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Hive sometime in the Destiny 2 main story campaign. Anyway, so it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, it's pretty linear. We take out some enemies, we deploy our ghosts, we take out some more waves of enemies, take out even more waves of enemies, go deploy our ghost again, more waves of enemies, dodge a couple things, and it gets to one point where I think we're in like this open field where basically we have to take out a whole bunch of Red Legion Cabal. That was pretty fun, especially because we got to see the new dogs that the Cabal own, or at least they look like dogs, or they behave like dogs. So that was really cool. And then we also got to see like their new like man cannons. If you guys don't know what man cannons are, it's kind of like a Halo type of thing. It's not really specifically Halo, but that's what I usually think of. But basically, you jump in it, you fly across the map, so forth. And then another thing that was really, I guess, important towards that strike was the big drill. The big drill was absolutely cool. Although I've seen other people's gameplay, and it seems that they had a really hard time trying to get past it. I've seen a lot of people die. I didn't have that problem, but honestly, I don't really have a hard time platforming with challenges and stuff. That was never really my issue, but I can see that it's totally got some people in a pickle. So it's kind of funny to see, you know, other people struggle with it. I thought it was funny. Anyway, once you get past that part and you fight some enemies off, we get to the main boss, and honestly, I thought it was pretty cool because the boss, I don't remember his name, so forgive me for that, but let's just call him Atheon's brother. It's quite clear that Destiny drew some inspiration from other games, and I guess an easy way to say this is Sword Art Online. If you guys watch that anime, highly recommend it. But basically, you know, the main boss, he has 3 tiers, or like 3 little notches, and each time you take off a notch, the gameplay itself kind of changed up just a little bit, just to give it somewhat of a challenge. Honestly, though, it really wasn't that hard. You shoot the enemy, you drop to the ground, and, you know, you drop down a floor, and you keep going. You take out ads, you shoot the boss, so forth. I guess you could say that the ending was just a tad hard, just because he goes completely rampant, absolutely bonkers, and he shoots you with that rapid fire gun that he has, and he kind of gets close to you guys. So, I'll admit, I died a couple times. We had to start over about 2 to 3 times completely. But honestly, the strike really was not that hard, and I'm fine with that. I just hope that the remaining strikes that we get in Destiny 2 aren't like that, because I personally felt that it still was a little too easy, and I really would like a challenge. I would like strikes to be just a bit more tough in my opinion. So, everybody, we've talked about basically the PvE aspect of the Destiny 2 beta. We talked about the cinematics, we talked about the, the homecoming mission and the inverted strike. Now it's time to talk about the last thing players had a chance to look at in the Destiny 2 beta, and that was PvP, aka player versus players. So, players were allowed to play 2 different PvP modes on 2 different maps located on 2 separate planets, which is pretty neat in my opinion because it gives players some variety. So, it was split up into 2 different game, or I guess you could say 2 different sections, not game modes. The first section was quick play and the second section was competitive. So, before we get into that, let's talk about PvP overall. Now, one thing that people were complaining about, and I kind of agree with them, is that people felt like it seems Bungie put in a lot of hard work and effort to improve Destiny's 2 PvP, and it didn't seem like PvE got a lot of love. And all I have to say to that is, regardless of their decisions of what happened, honestly, they got what they wanted. The results are in. They did a really good job of PvP and its balancing issues. And guys, I must say PvP was absolutely fun. So, getting into the quick play portion of it, quick play allowed Destiny players to play an old-time game mode called Control, which was obvious that was going to make its reprising role because this was probably one of Bungie's strongest, if not best, game mode that people could play. It was something that everyone can play and something that everyone could enjoy. Now, one of the biggest changes from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 is that there is no longer 6v6. It is now 4v4, which is, in my opinion, kind of bummy, kind of sucks, because honestly, I'm a bit 50-50 on it. I understand the reason why they did 4v4. It's obviously to make the gameplay go faster, to make it just a bit more exciting, and just a bit more hectic, in my opinion, but in a good way. Trust me, I don't mean that in a bad way. However, one thing that I did like about 6v6 was that I could take my entire raid team into PvP if we just gave up on a raid, or if we completed it and we just need to wind down by killing some guardians. Now we can't do that, and it splits up the group, which makes it very unfortunate. However, regardless of this decision, I'm hoping that some point in the future, maybe, just maybe, Bungie will allow, a 6v6 and a 4v4. That way people can have the choice, and it will just make it a bit more enjoyable for everyone around. As far as PvP goes, one big noticeable difference is that shotguns are not killing you every 2 seconds. And this is great. Bungie, you get all the thumbs up, you took all of the W's, and thank you so much. Of course, all the sniper people aren't happy because, unfortunately, snipers were also put in the heavy ammo slot, which is a bit of a bummer, especially if you don't pick up heavy ammo. And speaking of the heavy ammo drops are now a bit more frequent compared to Destiny 1. However, only one player can pick it up. When Bungie first announced that only one player could pick up heavy ammo, honestly, when I heard this, I was very concerned. I didn't think how it was going to be balanced. I wasn't sure if it was going to be right. I just didn't know how it was going to go down. But after playing the Destiny 2 beta, I realized that this was a great decision. In my opinion, I think that there was nothing wrong with this. In fact, I think that it makes it a bit more fun and just slightly more challenging. I think that the multiplayer overall was very good. Gunplay, very good. I love the new SMGs. Oh my goodness, they're awesome. Grenade launchers, they're not OP. That is very good in multiplayer. And yeah, I really have no complaints. Rocket launchers, they did good. All the guns, they did fine. I think one thing that I did notice was that in multiplayer, it felt like supers were recharging just a bit slow. And I wasn't too fond of that, especially because it seemed like every single game, supers weren't popped out until the almost nearly the very end of the match, or until basically the match was over, and that kind of sucked. So Hopefully Bungie will fix that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I just felt like maybe I think that there should be at least 2 times you can use your super, especially if you're on the winning team. One time, and especially towards the end of the map, just makes things feel slow. But I think Bungie, if they don't go through with it and, make supers recharge faster, it will be because they want to emphasize more gunplay and more objective gameplay, which makes sense. And then it also allows people to focus more on if they need to change, make that game-changing play. It's all going to rely on getting that heavy ammo and sticking together and working as a team. So as far as I'm concerned, the quick play, control, that portion of his PvP was awesome. The second thing that people were able to do as far as multiplayer goes was play the competitive portion of the multiplayer, which introduced a brand new game mode called Countdown, which was playable on a completely different map, and I believe that map was on Earth. And honestly, I'll tell you guys this much. As far as I'm concerned, through my experiences, I didn't exactly have the best experience. I think that the game mode would be very fun. However, I think that it should probably be played with friends. You see, the thing is, playing it with random players, a lot of the issues I ran into was that either one player was there in the game, but he wasn't playing at all, or a player would leave, or a player was AFK, and then it would be 3v4. When you're going 3 versus 4 players, it's not fun, and unless you're very skilled and your team members are also skilled, it makes it very hard to win. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it just doesn't make it as enjoyable, especially if you're losing. And then one issue I will run into is if we were already starting off with 3 players going up against 4 players, then other players would start to leave as soon as we started losing, and that just wasn't fun overall. I highly recommend that if you do play this game mode, please, please, please play this game mode with your friends. Communication is obviously going to be very important for this game mode, and it's just, I highly emphasize that you do it with your friends. Continue on with this game mode, however, something that it reminds me of for all those Call of Duty players out there is like a search and destroy or a demolition type of game. I really don't know the difference because I never played those game modes, but I know of them, and basically you have one team that goes and plants the bomb, and the other team, they have to defuse it within a certain time limit, or to end the game, either one team just kills all the players. There are no respawns, so the only way for you to get back into the gameplay is if your team members revive you. And honestly, it's competitive. It really is competitive. So it's understandable why they would put it in a competitive game mode. So, as far as I'm concerned, the competitive game mode, very fun, but it's not going to be enjoyable if you're playing with randoms, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I most definitely recommend that you do this with friends. So guys, to wrap up this video, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is I don't have gameplay of it, but on Sunday, Bungie allowed for 1 hour for the tower to be released, or it's not really the tower, but it's a brand new social space called The Farm, and I have no gameplay of it whatsoever. I'm super sorry, guys. I had the awesome luxury of going to work, and it sucked because out of all the days that I had to go to work, they had to release it on that day. I was super bummed out, and I couldn't really take off, so, but honestly, it really is not that big of a deal. You guys will be able to see it on September 6th once the game releases, and everyone will be able to be there. One big change from the social space, obviously, it's not the tower anymore, where I think we might be on a different planet. I'm not sure about that because I didn't get a chance to see, but we will be able to have a total of 26 players instead of, I believe it was 16 or 12 or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact number, but basically double the Guardians, double the fun. There's going to be, a lot of little events that you can do, like play soccer. I saw that on YouTube, and it looks absolutely massive. I even saw a forest in there, which seems really cool. So honestly, I'm very excited about the new social space. The social space looks awesome. I just didn't get any gameplay of it, so super sorry about that, guys. But anyway, guys, I've rambled on way too much. Sorry for the long video, but regardless, that's pretty much it for my impressions for the Destiny 2 beta. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for September 6th. That's when the game comes out. We're going to be recording it. We're going to be doing a Let's Play, and I'm probably going to do tips and tricks on the channel as well. So stay tuned and subscribe to this channel if you guys haven't already. Leave a like if you enjoyed what you guys, or I guess you could say leave a like if you agreed with any of my impressions, and comment down below and tell me what you thought about the Destiny 2 beta and what you're hoping for the Destiny 2 game. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay Gucci, my pandas. Panda out. Seriously? Yeah, no, thanks for playing. Go ahead. Leave.